Guyana, President Lula and his wonderful wife, First Lady, ministers, dignitaries, officials. I'm very pleased to address the media this morning on what has been an extraordinary number of hours with President Lula. Indeed, President Lula's commitment to regional integration, his focus on people-led development, his focus on building a resilient, strong, sustainable region, one in which the people of this region will all fulfill our potential, and one in which we can build a mechanism through which prosperity can come to every citizen of this region is remarkable. President Lula's commitment to CARICOM and to Guyana is enormous. His focus is on integrating our people, integrating our culture, integrating our infrastructure, and working on a common agenda in addressing important global issues like energy, climate, and food security. We commend his leadership and we commend his very strong and consistent stand on various issues that our world faces today. For Guyana and Brazil, there is an opportunity that is now, an opportunity that can highly integrate our economies and create enormous opportunities for the people of our two countries. We discussed not only the connectivity of infrastructure through roads, ports, air transport, but we discussed the connectivity of our people, the role of the private sector, the involvement of the private sector, and how we can get our private sectors more integrated to look at the opportunities that exist in both Guyana and Brazil, and to look at ways in which we can bring them together in making use of those opportunities. In this regard, we have committed to putting together a government and private sector grouping that would go to Brazil in the second quarter of this year to showcase and to interact with the Brazilian government and private sector on ways in which we can collaborate to maximize the benefits that are available in Guyana and Brazil. On the issue of climate change, we had the opportunity to update Brazil on the leadership role we are playing in relation to the forests and deploying the forests as an important global tool in the fight against climate change. We have agreed that at the G20, Guyana will be invited in the person of the Vice President to make a presentation on Guyana's model, but more importantly, on having a discussion with other forested countries in defining a global model that can be taken to COP29 and COP30. Because as you know, President Lula, not only now, but when he was president before, was championing the issue of forests, looking at reforestation and the deployment of forests as an important component of the environmental and climate landscape. We have decided also that in relation to our infrastructure, we are going to work on the financial mechanism. We're going to put together a technical working group that would commence working immediately to develop a mechanism through which we can have the financing and mobilize financing for the deployment of investments on the various projects to link our two countries, especially the infrastructure link. We are also going to have deepened collaboration on defense and security, looking at tourism also as an opportunity that we must collaborate and cooperate on. So these are the areas that we had the opportunity to discuss, and we have set up a working mechanism on taking all these issues forward. In relation to our borders, we had discussions on that, and Brazil, as they've done before, pledged their full commitment in ensuring that this region remains a region of peace and stability, and that the sovereignty and territorial integrity of all within the region is respected. Thank you.
Muito bem. Bem, meu caro presidente Irfan Ali,
Well, my dear friend, the
presidente
President
da
Ali,
Guiana, eu, sinceramente, quero começar agradecendo o convite que me foi feito para participar da 46ª reunião da CARICOM.
first of all, I would like to start thanking you very much for the invitation to participate in the 46th session of the CARICOM meetings.
Eu fui convidado pela primeira vez para participar da CARICOM em 2005.
I was invited for the very first time to participate in the CARICOM Summit meeting in 2005,
Que foi no Suriname.
that was held in Suriname.
Depois eu convoquei uma reunião da CARICOM no Brasil
Then I called for a summit meeting with CARICOM in Brazil
para que nós começássemos a dar sequência à nossa estratégia de integração sul-americana.
so that we can give a follow-up in our strategy for the integration of South America.
Lamentavelmente,
Unfortunately,
depois do impeachment da presidenta Dilma,
after President Dilma Rousseff impeachment in Brazil,
houve apagão
we
da
had a sort of a
relação do
shutdown
Brasil com a América do Sul.
of Brazil with the rest of South America.
E, sobretudo, houve apagão na relação com a Guiana
And mainly, there was a shutdown too in our relations with Guyana
e com os países da CARICOM.
and the countries members of the CARICOM.
A nossa vinda à Guiana
Our visit now to Guyana
é para afirmar
is to reaffirm
a todos os países que fazem parte da CARICOM,
to all countries that are part of CARICOM,
que compõem uma comunidade de 19 milhões de habitantes,
that make up a community of 19 million inhabitants.
que todos juntos têm PIB aproximadamente de 120 bilhões de dólares,
And if we gather all these countries, they add up a GDP of $120 billion.
e que no caso do Brasil com a Guiana,
And in the case of Brazil with Guyana,
além dos 12 milhões de brasileiros que aqui residem,
besides the 12,000 Brazilians that live here,
que aqui trabalham,
that work here,
nós temos 1.605 quilômetros de fronteira
we have 1,605 kilometers of border lines.
e, portanto, nós temos todo interesse
So we are fully interested
em discutir com a Guiana
in discussing with Guyana
muitos temas importantes na área de infraestrutura,
important issues that we should discuss, like infrastructure,
na área de segurança alimentar,
in the field of food security,
na área da cooperação fronteiriça,
in the area of cooperation with our borders,
na área de transporte aéreo e rodoviário,
in the area of waterways and air
na
transportation,
questão de comércio e investimentos,
on the trade and investment,
na questão energética
on the energy issue,
e uma coisa muito importante que é a discussão sobre a questão do clima.
and another important issue is discussing the climate change issue.
É importante lembrar que a Guiana faz parte da OTCA.
It's very important to remember that Guyana is part of ATCO.
E, portanto, com a mesma preocupação do Brasil,
So with the same kind of concern that Brazil has,
a Guiana está fazendo esforço incomensurável
Guyana is undergoing a tremendous
para
endeavor
cuidar das suas florestas
to take care of its forests.
e, por isso, eu os convidei para participar da reunião climática no Brasil do G20,
That's why I invited Guyana to participate as
Para-
Brazil chairing the G20 to participate in the climate change discussion at the G20.
para que eles possam expor a monetização que eles estão fazendo
So that they could present the monetization model that they are undertaking here
sobre a preservação da floresta da Guiana.
in terms of preserving the Guyana forests.
Bom, esses assuntos
So these subject
me
matters
fez convidar o presidente Irfan
made me invite Vice President Jacques Dill
para que prepare uma missão empresarial
and I asked President Ali to prepare the business mission
e que visite logo o Brasil
and that they should come and visit Brazil soon
para mostrar
to show
aos empresários brasileiros
to the Brazilian business sector
as oportunidades
the opportunities
que a Guiana oferece
that Guyana offers
para investimentos brasileiros
for Brazilian investment
na área de mineração,
in the mining field,
na área energética,
in the energy field,
na área de
in the
petróleo,
oil field,
na área da agricultura
and in the agricultural
e na
field,
questão energética.
and also
Ou
in the
seja, há
energy
vasto
transition.
campo de interesse de empresários brasileiros para fazer investimento na Guiana.
So there's a vast field for the Brazilian business sector to make their investments in Guyana.
E há muito interesse da Guiana
And on the
que
other
esse
side, there's a lot of
processo de
interest of
integração
Guyana for the integration process
permita que a Guiana possa ter acesso aos produtos agrícolas brasileiros com mais
that will allow
facilidade,
Guyana to have access to Brazilian agricultural goods,
sobretudo a partir do seu vizinho mais próximo, o estado de Roraima.
especially through its most closest neighbor, which is the Roraima state of Brazil.
Ou seja, essa minha visita é a recuperação
So to sum up, my visit here is to reclaim
de uma política que estava sendo levado avante em 2010,
a policy that we were moving forward, advancing in 2010,
que teve continuidade pela presidenta Dilma,
that had a continuity with President Dilma Rousseff,
que depois foi paralisada.
but then it was paralyzed after that.
Não apenas com a América do Sul,
Not only with South
e não
America,
apenas com a Guiana,
and not only with Guyana,
mas, na verdade, o Brasil parou suas relações internacionais com o mundo.
the truth of the matter is that Brazil has paralyzed its international relations with the rest of the
Eu
world.
queria dizer ao presidente Irfan
I also would like to say to
que,
President
da mesma
Irfan,
forma que a Guiana vive momento excepcional de possibilidades econômicas,
in the same way that Guyana experiences an extraordinary moment in terms of economic perspectives.
e eu quero dizer que eu vi isso quando desci do aeroporto, que fui para o hotel,
And I can testify that when I came down from the airport to the hotel,
a quantidade de construções novas
I could see with my eyes the amount of new buildings
e as rodovias modernas que estão sendo
and
construídas.
modern highways that are being built.
Eu tenho certeza que, da mesma forma que está acontecendo esses investimentos em infraestrutura,
I am sure that in the same way that these investments that are going on in infrastructure,
também está acontecendo os investimentos na melhoria da qualidade de vida do povo da
I
Guiana.
would imagine that the same investments are being made for the improvement of the quality of the lives of the people.
O Brasil também vive momento muito importante.
Brazil is also undergoing a very important moment.
Nós tivemos primeiro ano de recuperação do nosso país,
So we had our first year of our term to recover the country,
remontar todas as políticas públicas que tinham sido exterminadas,
we had to reassemble, reorganize all the public policies that were shut down by the previous administration,
e planejar forte investimento em política de infraestrutura num projeto que envolve praticamente 350 bilhões de dólares, que é o nosso PAC.
and we also had to focus mainly in an infrastructure project that reaches almost the amount of $350 billion, which is called the PAC, which is an acronym in Portuguese, but means Accelerated Growth Program.
E dentre esses projetos de investimento em infraestrutura,
Amongst these projects of investment in infrastructure,
nós temos compromisso
we do have a pledge
com a integração do nosso continente.
with the integration of our continent.
A ministra Simone Tebet, que veio aqui ontem,
My planning minister, Simone Tebet,
que
that is
fez a
here with us,
apresentação do projeto de integração
and made a presentation about integration projects,
que entrega o Brasil além da Guiana,
and that integrates Brazil But going beyond Guyana,
a outros países da América do Sul,
there are other countries in South America
com o objetivo de chegar ao Pacífico
with the objective to reach the Pacific Ocean.
e diminuir em 10.000 quilômetros
And with that, reducing 10,000
a
kilometers,
distância do nosso comércio com a China,
the distance between our trade with
com o
China
Japão e com outros países.
and also with other
Bem,
countries.
o que está em jogo nesse momento?
Very well. What is at stake in
A
this moment?
economia brasileira voltou a crescer,
The Brazilian economy is back in
o
terms of
emprego
growth.
voltou a crescer,
More jobs were created, it's growing.
estamos fazendo muito investimento em ciência e tecnologia,
We're making also a lot of investments in science and technology,
muito investimento em educação,
a lot of investment in
da
education,
creche à universidade,
from daycare centers to the university.
e estamos colhendo os frutos de uma política muito promissora.
And we are harvesting the fruits of a very promising policy.
Só para ter uma ideia, presidente Irfan,
Just for you to have an idea, President Ali,
somente no mês de fevereiro,
just in the month of February,
nós abrimos 14 novos mercados
we opened 14 new markets
para os produtos brasileiros.
for Brazilian products.
14 em
Products.
janeiro,
14 in January,
já 6 no mês de fevereiro,
6 already in the month of February,
e ao todo chegamos a quase 70 novos mercados novos em apenas um ano de governo.
so we'll reach almost 70 new markets in just 1 year of my term.
Nossa renda per capita está crescendo,
Our domestic market is growing.
80% dos trabalhadores estão fazendo acordos com percentual acima da inflação.
80% of the organized working class is collective bargaining agreements that are above inflation.
E estamos retomando com muita força todas as políticas de inclusão social
And
que
we're,
foram sucesso nos nossos primeiros mandatos.
and we're restoring all the social inclusion policies that were a success in our first 2 terms.
A nossa integração com a Guiana
Our integration with Guyana
faz parte da estratégia do Brasil
is part of Brazil's strategy,
de ajudar não apenas no desenvolvimento,
not only to help in terms of development,
mas trabalhar intensamente
but to work intensively
para que a gente mantenha a América do Sul
so that we can keep South America
como uma zona de paz
as
no planeta
a
Terra.
peace zone in the planet Earth.
Ou seja, nós não precisamos de guerra.
We don't need wars.
A guerra, ela traz destruição
War brings destruction,
de infraestrutura,
destroys
traz
infrastructure,
destruição de vida
destroys lives,
e traz sofrimento.
and brings suffering.
A paz
Peace
traz prosperidade,
brings prosperity,
traz educação,
brings education,
traz geração de emprego
brings job creation,
e tranquilidade aos seres humanos.
and tranquility to the human beings.
Esse é o papel que o Brasil pretende jogar
This is the role
Na
that
América do
Brazil
Sul.
intends to play in South America
e no mundo.
and in the world.
Todo mundo sabe
Everybody knows
que o Brasil é contra a guerra na Ucrânia.
Brazil is against the Ukraine-Russia war.
Todo mundo sabe que o Brasil é contra o que está acontecendo na faixa de Gaza.
Everybody knows that Brazil is against what's happening in the Gaza Strip,
Da mesma forma que fomos contra
as the same way
aos
that
atos
we were
terroristas do Hamas.
against the terrorist attack of Hamas.
E todo mundo sabe
And everybody also knows
que o Brasil não tem e não quer contencioso com nenhum país do mundo.
we never had, and we don't want to have any kind of litigation whatsoever any country in the world.
O Brasil quer paz,
Brazil wants peace,
quer prosperidade,
prosperity,
quer crescimento econômico
economic growth,
e quer melhoria de vida do nosso povo.
and the improvement of the lives
Por
of our
isso,
people.
presidente Irfan,
As President Abiy said,
estejam certos.
I can reassure you,
Eu vim aqui com a minha ministra do
I
Planejamento,
came here with my planning minister.
eu vim aqui com o meu ministro do Transporte,
I came here with my transport
eu vim aqui com o
minister,
ministro de Portos e Aeroportos,
with my minister for ports and
eu
airports.
vim aqui com o ministro da Integração Nacional, Integração Regional,
I came here with my minister for
e
regional
ainda faltaram
integration.
vários ministros.
And
Ainda faltaram vários
And we
ministros.
still lacked in our mission here many other ministers.
E o nosso vice-presidente da
And
República
our President of the Republic,
vai junto com o seu vice-presidente,
together
companheiro
with your
Jacques
Vice
Deu,
President Jacques Diu,
a construir
they will build
todas as equipes técnicas necessárias
all the technical working groups that are necessary.
para que a gente faça acontecer
So we should make it happen,
a integração necessária
the necessary integration
ao desenvolvimento da nossa região.
to bring development to our region.
Por isso,
So that's why
eu quero lhe comunicar
I would like to communicate to
que
you
saio daqui satisfeito,
that I leave this country very pleased,
agradecido pelo carinho,
and I acknowledge and thank you very
pela
much for all the warmth
hospitalidade do povo da Guiana.
and the hospitality shown by the people of Guyana.
Você sabe que eu estou indo a CELAC, em São Vicente e
You're
Granadina.
now, you know, Mr. President, that I'm now going to St. Vincent for the
Vou
select meeting.
agradecer pessoalmente o presidente Ralph, vou agradecer
And
pessoalmente
I
o
will
presidente
thank
Ralph
personally Prime Minister Ralph
por ser o coordenador
for being the coordinator
das conversas entre a Guiana e a Venezuela
and mediator of the conversations between Venezuela and Guyana.
e espero que a gente tenha uma reunião da CELAC
And I do hope that we have a select meeting
produtiva,
that will be productive,
harmoniosa
in harmony,
e que todos nós
and that all of us
saiamos de lá
should leave that meeting
falando em paz,
talking about
em
peace
prosperidade,
and prosperity,
em alegria,
in joy,
em amor
in love,
e não em ódio.
and not in hatred.
Muito obrigado.
Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Muito bem. Um abraço.
Você acompanhou conosco ao vivo, direto de Georgetown, na Guiana, a declaração à imprensa do presidente Lula e também do presidente da Guiana, Irfan Ali. E agora vamos retomar a transmissão da instalação da Casa de Governo, direto de Boa Vista, em Roraima. Vamos acompanhar.